Hello and welcome to Homestead Imaginations. I'm Josh and we are doing some chicken chores today. We got a nice good snowstorm coming in. Should be getting about a foot. This started today around probably 11 o'clock started snowing. So I'd say we maybe got like an inch. But it's time to get out here, get some stuff done. I'm doing the usual water. Got hanging water there that's heated. The power cord just runs up to the ceiling, then out over here, right behind the camera, out to the barn, and then their food is over there. So I'm just filling those, topping those, and then I clean out inside of the coop, which I'll show in a minute when I get to that chore. Those are my usual, like every few days, once a week type chores. Just making sure they've got plenty of water, plenty of food, and that the poop is cleaned out in the coop. So that way there's less moisture, so hopefully there's less chance of frostbite. It's been really cold. It's been below zero at nights, and they've been doing pretty good. They don't see any signs of any issues with their feet or their combs. So they're doing pretty good, even in the cold. So the coop is keeping them warm, and the run's keeping them warm during the days. It's insulated. Camera might be able to pick it up, but on the sides here is little like plexi polycarbonate like panels or whatever that were for a greenhouse. So repurpose them for covering the coop run during the colder months. So I'm gonna get started with the chores, and then an additional chore because it's getting pretty low in here, and because we're going through a cold spell. I want to make sure I get fresh new bedding in here. So I'm going to go through that process of adding some more. I use pine shavings for now, but I've seen like potentially I might switch to like leaves, because that's just a more natural, more easier accessible resource to be able to use for their bedding. Now I'm doing the deep litter method, so I put this stuff down, I don't know, maybe like October. I think I put all the bedding down in here. And it's fine, like it is starting to get a little too poopy. So I'm going to rake it all around and then hopefully get their manure down below, and then I'm going to top it with some new bales. So they got fresh stuff to walk on, keep them clean, and then hopefully give a little bit more insulation from the ground and in the coop to give them a little bit more warmth. So we'll start with the water. It's got a little opening cap here. It's a little frosted. The bottom's warm though. So top got a little cold, but the bottom is what's heated. So it stays warm for them. So it's pretty easy. They don't go through a ton of water. Maybe they'll go through a lot more in the summer, but I just switched to using this kind of feeder for the winter, because right as soon as it started getting cold, it didn't take long for the feeder or the water I was using to freeze and have issues. So I needed to switch to this, and then I'm probably gonna switch to something like this long term anyway. Probably something maybe a little bit bigger. I might do like a garbage can and then put a bunch of nipples all around it, so they'll have more access, more things to drink from. But I kind of like their water like being like in a corner or something, so I might not have too many. Too many more. This has 3, but they don't seem to fight, at least not now. I mean, I only have 8 total chickens, 7 hens, and 1 rooster right now. So it's not like they are fighting over water and don't have access to water or food, because there's always someone eating and someone is kind of left out. So I'll have to check on that in the summer when I get more. I plan on getting this area filled out. I'm looking at maybe getting 13, 14 more chickens for next year. This is a grandpa's feeder, and it works pretty good. It was basically the first feeder I had. from when they got here, but it was recommended to me by some friends who got chickens that it's a really good feeder. It makes it where they can't make too much of a mess, and they can't waste a lot of food, and you don't have a lot of food being wasted to other animals like mice getting in here and eating that. So just get this all pushed down. There we go, they're all excited. Just touching the water and touching that thing. I think it's like 4 degrees right now. So it's pretty cold. But just that little bit of time of having my glove off and touching the metal and exposing my hands to like the water, my hands are already getting really cold. So this bucket's for inside, which we'll cover after. So what I'm going to do is I got a little breathing mask here. Try to cover my face. And I'm just going to go around and just try and rake this around a little bit. Basically just trying to get the poop to settle down. So it's on the bottom. The chips are definitely breaking down. So there's definitely some areas where there really isn't much coverage. Which is not a bad thing. I do want this bedding to be used as compost. Chickens are getting a little upset with me. So I do want to use this bedding as compost in the spring. Most likely in the spring or summer I'll rake it all out. Jeez. Girls, you're alright. They're very upset. But I do plan on using this as the compost, so I'll rake this all out and then replace it with fresh new bedding for the whole spring and summer. I'll probably change this out twice a year. Once before winter and then after winter. Alright. Bag number 2, this area definitely needs a lot. They're making a giant mess over here. No. I may get more. I was hoping this was just going to be a topper, but some of this was a little bit more lower than I kind of thought from before I started raking. This area definitely needs, this is what they eat. They've been tracking, getting a lot of poop on their feeder. And no one wants to mix their poop with their food, so actually it's not too bad. Not too bad. So, just get this spread around so they got fresh stuff to walk on. Hopefully a little bit drier because it hasn't been pooped on and stuff. But this stays dry in here. I don't get any wetness. I'm going to use that last bag inside. I'll get one more bag for in here. There we go. Yeah, it needs one more bag to just kind of fill a little bit more of the space in here, but otherwise it's not too bad. Alright, so the other chore I gotta do, which the chickens aren't gonna be very happy with, I'm gonna take that last bag there, and that's gonna go inside here, inside the coop. But they're gonna be mad because I'm coming in. Alright, cheeky chicks. Alright, so we've got the roost bars here, And then I've got this tarp underneath, and so I actually probably waited a little longer than I would like to on getting this cleaned out. But there we go. There. Alright, so all I do is I'm going to scoop all that poop off the tarp, this is basically the majority of the poop in here. They do have a little bit in here, but not a lot, because they really don't hang out in here. They're in the run during the day. The door opens at like 6 a.m. and then they just go, the nesting boxes are all under there. All the way across are the nesting boxes. So I will scoop all that out, get that out of here, so that way less moisture inside the coop itself, and you know, the ammonia doesn't build up too bad. And then I just throw it in the compost for the winter. You know, just keep piling it up. Jeez, it's like camera's kind of picking it up, but like I'm just talking and it's like a chimney in my face, like just non-stop steam because of how cold it is. But yeah, so those are the chores. It really doesn't take me very long in a week to do that. You know, that's it. Usually I don't even do the bedding. This is the first time that I've relayered their run and coop with new bedding since like October or so. So it's been a few months, and I probably won't need to do it again for the rest of the winter, and then I'll empty it, completely clear it all out, take it all and compost it, and then put in new bedding for the spring. But so that's basically my weekly chores for chickens. Like, they are very low maintenance, especially if you set yourself up for an easier time. Like, I've got automatic basically feeder and water. All I gotta do is just fill it once a week, you know, maybe twice a week for the water. Their feed with 8 chickens, that thing basically almost holds pretty much 50 pounds of feed. That takes them quite a few weeks to get through, 3 to 4 weeks. It's almost a month for right now for how many chickens I have. And they're eating more during the winter than they do in the spring and summer because they free range. So the winter they're kept in here because it's just too cold. I don't want them getting any issues with their feet from frostbite or anything, trying to walk through the snow. I don't have any areas outside of the run for them to kind of wander about freely. So unfortunately they are kept in the run and in the coop during the winter time. Might be something that I try and do some kind of improvement for them in the future, so they have a little bit more space and a little bit more access to things. But I mean, it's not like there's going to be a lot of insects that they're going to be finding anyway during this time, so not that big of a deal. If during the winter they're kind of cooped up basically, and that's it. So they're doing good for the winter, and that's it for the chores. I know I've seen a lot of people go crazy. They clean their coop like once a week and all that stuff. And I mean, if you set it up and you just, you know, deep litter method is like definitely the way to go, especially if you are very busy, because even with this, like 1 egg out of like maybe like 4 dozen, I would say, will have like poop on the egg, and that's it. Otherwise, my eggs are clean. I don't even have like a roll away where they lay it and it rolls away and they can't even get to it. Like, they literally, the eggs will sit there and they come and they use pretty much, I have 5 nesting boxes, all 7 hens basically normally use just 1 nesting box. Sometimes they vary. It must be if they get impatient, they couldn't wait for the chicken to get out of the nesting box, they'll go use one of the other ones. But for the most part, they're laying in the same nesting box and the eggs are still very clean. Like, as long as you just keep new bedding on top clean and you sift it around, like I have a rake that I keep out here, and just for that purpose, like I'll go and rake stuff around and just help get the poop to settle down to the bottom and just let the pine shavings on top, so that way they aren't walking along their poop. I try and check on them as often as I can, but at least when I come out to fill their water, fill their food, top off their food, top off their water, like I don't ever let it go out. I'll check their roosting bars, clean them off, make sure that they don't have poop on it, because they poop on the roosting bars sometimes too. So I make sure that that's clean so they're not stepping on it and just sitting there. So I try and keep everything as clean as possible, and like I barely have any dirty egg issues. So and in here, even before, like you can see the difference between like this area, like right here is old. I did not cover it, and then obviously the other stuff is much brighter. But even in the older area, like it's not bad. It's just there is poop, and they are pooping in here all day. Like this is their space for every day, all day right now during the winter. So they are pooping constantly in here, but it pretty much gets shifted down with them walking and scratching around. It gets automatically kind of sifted down to the bottom as long as you got enough. But like in here, like this isn't a lot. It's not bad. It's not like there's none here, but it's just, it's starting to break down. It's starting to get broken up into little pieces. So it's starting to, the poop is a little bit more visible, sitting more on top. So yeah, so those are all my chicken chores. Usually I just have the 3, but I've decided that I needed to add a little bit more bedding to break up the winter. They're freaking going to town over here, just eating. Even though that wasn't empty, but anytime I go over there and mess with it, they think like I put in new treats or something. That the water wasn't empty, but I don't know what it is with them. It's just like if you put it out here, it's new, they go nuts. I've got oyster shells for them for grit. That's pretty full. They only eat that as they need. I had just filled it not too long ago. I'm actually surprised that's got as much left in that as that does. They really haven't touched much of that, but that's the container says grit, but that's basically just eggshells to help them, give them a little bit more calcium. I baked their eggshells and then grinded them up, and then I feed them that. So the last time I've only done it twice because they don't eat a lot of that. That's like a little extra for them for whatever reason. They don't eat a ton, but it doesn't seem like they're really touching it too much this time. But I've only done it twice. The last time they ate it all, it took them a while, but they did eventually graze through it and get it all done. Definitely, I got one little thing here, or like a roosting bar for them to like hang out with. I do plan on adding some crisscross ones in this space to give them, so they can have a little bit more perch, and then give them a little bit more kind of things to do and hop around on, so they're hopefully not bored. I mean, bored chickens will start like being mean to each other and attacking each other, but so far I haven't had any issues with that. So they've been pretty good to each other at least. They didn't like Greyhound at first, the rooster, but once it took a while, but once he got, situated in the family and the flock, they love him. They follow him around. There's a couple girls that don't want anything to do with them from like a mating standpoint. Like they'll run away, and he tries to chase them, and eventually he gives up because they just keep running away from him. They're like not interested in mating with him. So yeah, that's them. They're doing really good. I'm excited. I'm happy with our first winter so far with the chickens. This will be a good test this week. We are in negatives, and it's going to get really, really cold this week. So this will be a good test to see how well they do. But they're big. They got plenty of feathers, and it's well insulated. There's no wind, no draft or anything. So it keeps them pretty warm. And like it's noticeably different just walking in here from being outside. So that is the chickens. It's the whole rundown, and how I keep it simple, how I keep my workload low for having the chickens. And then every day I come out, usually once I get home from work, the first thing I do is I come out and I collect the eggs, which are out. So the nesting boxes are in those corners, but the doors and hatches to access them are outside the coop, so I don't even have to come in or anything. I just go right out to the outside of the coop, open the hatches, check for eggs, grab them, then bring them inside. So pretty straightforward process. And they don't keep me busy, that's for sure. At least for right now. But I got some things I want to do for them in the summer. I want to focus on getting them more different food. I want to try and get them to eat vegetables. Right now they are very much like carnivores. They only eat meat leftovers. They don't really touch vegetables. So I'm hoping when I get new birds this summer that I'm gonna try and get them used to eating like vegetable scraps. That way vegetable scraps can go towards their feed to help reduce the cost of what you're actually spending on your feed. But I also want to try and get some other grub farm type things going, like maybe black soldier larvae and different things like that. I want to make this as streamlined as possible. At some point I do want to extend the run and make it much bigger because I do want to get a lot more birds. So I do want to extend the run, give them a lot more space, especially seeing that if they're not going to be going out free ranging at all during the winter, I want them to have a ton of space during the winter time so they're not cooped up and they're on top of each other. So I want to extend it, and after I extend it, I'm going to probably put gutters on and collect rainwater and then have that funnel into an automatic water feeder. So that way I don't have to worry about it, at least during the summer. And then I'd probably try and just hook up some kind of like heat little these metal like heater things that you can connect, and you just put it in the water and it just keeps it from freezing because it's just warm enough to keep the water from freezing. So I'm thinking about doing something like that, trying to just automate and make having the chickens as efficient as possible and make sure that they have the best life I can possibly give them. And I want happy chickens, happy, healthy chickens for, good, healthy, hearty eggs. And so that way they have a good long life until it's time for them to no longer be here on the farm. So, alrighty, I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching. I hope you like the chicken coop and what I do for the chicken chores, and I will catch you guys next time. Keep the imagination rolling. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.